There are those who can leave love or take it. Love to them is just what they make it.
I think I can accurately say that I didn't find this film sort of found me. You know, my father came to the United States as an immigrant on a boat to study music at Juilliard, and he learned to speak English by going to the movies. And one of the films he saw in first run was East of Eden, and it's probably the first film I remember seeing as a little boy. And so a kind of cinematic ghost of James Dean, you know, haunted my childhood. And the film, you know, I think it's appropriate that the first film I made was in a sense a sort of a cinematic homage to that.
When I was 19, I did Abercrombie & Fitch, and Bruce Weber, the photographer, was the first person who took a stance and was like, you need to get out to LA, drop out of school, go to LA now. So I dropped out of art school and went to LA at 19 after I did the Abercrombie & Fitch photo shoot. And they've always been great and accommodating to me. I've done it a couple times since then, so.
And he's really good at finding his light, which is really helpful on set.
Jimmy! Violet will take care of you.
You know, it's been done twice really well in a biopic form, and I think what I really tried to bring to this was a completely different perspective. I don't think James Dean can be recreated in one performance. I just think he was that amazing, almost iconic and legendary, that I hope through all three performances you really get a view of who James Dean was.
And our film is not a biopic. It's not a biography. Mm-hmm. It's a portrait. As you know, as the title suggests, it's a moment in time. You know, James is such a special actor and has such a naturalism to his acting. Although he was very well prepared, I think what makes the performance ultimately transcendent and special is that he didn't spend a lot of time trying to be James Dean. He wasn't imitating. He wasn't recreating. He was playing the role of this very beautiful person who was changing the way people acted and was struggling his way through Hollywood.
I think it was a very elusive perspective as well, and letting people in the film actually affect who James Dean was, because I think it was a very pivotal point in his life where he was building a persona that everyone thinks he is now. You know, and those are the films, you know, the biopics of who everybody really thinks James Dean was. I think we were trying to develop a version of all the stuff that made him that person.
The first day I spent with Jimmy was better than all the days I'd spent with anyone else put together. It was as if I had seen him black and white my entire life, and suddenly I saw in color.
It was a compilation of a bunch of different things. There's a book out that I read that was very informative called Surviving James Dean. Written by a man named Bill Bast, who was his real-life roommate.
We read everything, from primary sources to biographies, to autobiographies of contemporaries. We even spent quite a lot of time interviewing people who knew him quite intimately, who were still around. And we used all of those sources. And, you know, we started with these sort of factual histories, messy and contradictory as they might be, and our goal as artists was to try and come to a truth from that. And I think that's what you see in James's performance and also in Dan's, which I always find so moving and touching.
Pretty-eyed baby, pretty-eyed baby, we can have a lot of fun. Yes, a lot of
Whenever I took the role, I really made a pivotal decision in every different love scene. Whenever you see the one where, you know, I arrive at the door with the bigger guy, the only thing I could think of was he wanted to be roughed up. He wanted to be overpowered. And then, you know, with the female, I was thinking that, you know, it was an advance. He was moving towards, you know, advancing his career. And then with the boy in the beach is a power trip, you know, so he was taking power over this person. And then ultimately, you know, someone he loved.
We really explore through these amazing performances all of the repercussions and contexts of sexuality. Sometimes it's intimacy, sometimes it's a power trip, sometimes it's getting ahead. All of those things play into human, interpersonal relationships, and that was something really, I think, interesting to explore.
Are you happy with your success?
You, Jimmy, make me happy.
It was really important to me to, and it actually always is when I make features, to shoot on film. Because to me, there's something irreplaceable and emotional and beautiful about celluloid. I mean, I remember in film school, I had to learn to cut my first film on a guillotine, cutting and pasting ends together. And I think you learn something in that experience that can't be replicated working on a computer. I mean, you certainly learn how to be thrifty with your film, and you know, I have to say I couldn't have made this movie on film if I didn't have actors like these guys who only needed 3 or 4 takes instead of 50.
Yeah.
And I, you know, when I sometimes go to other people's sets, if they're video shoots and younger directors, they're doing 50 or 60 takes, and I think, why would you do that? You know, what about acting?
Michael Pessa's cinematography was so amazing, and working with everybody on the film, including Matthew and Dan and everybody, such a passion project. You know, everybody really came together and made it what it was, and everybody was doing it because they loved it, and this was something that we really wanted to make happen. And but seeing it on the big screen in black and white, and I mean, that's all you can ask for.
We should also really thank SIFF, the Seattle International Film Festival, for hosting our world premiere, and you know, really bringing together an audience that was perfect for this movie, that understood the movie, and we just had such a great experience in Seattle.